folks, today I'd like to highlight this beautiful TEAC X-1000R auto reverse reel-to-reel tape deck. This one is in the black finish, really very nice, near mint cosmetically and functionally excellent. Has been fully restored, calibrations and adjustments all completed as in the service manual. This one looks so just cosmetically, we'll hit the high points right now. Very nice overall, and just a couple light scratches I can see, one here and one here. Overall presents really well, nice shine to the finish, and case as well is close to perfect, just very nice. So let's talk a little bit about the TEAC X-1000R and what I like so much about it. First is just that it's auto reverse and it plays and records in both directions. So once you mount your tape, you never have to flip it over for playing or recording. There's a total of 6 heads. So a standard reel-to-reel deck will have 3 heads, one for erase, then record, then playback. And record and playback are separate so that you can monitor your recording in real time. Make sure your quality and all your levels are right up there. Also allows the record and playback to be optimized for their particular functions to get the best audio response. So this has 3 heads for forward and 3 heads for reverse, so a total of 6. Second thing I like about this deck is all the tape handling characteristics. So it has dual capstan, which maintains excellent tape tension across the tape heads. Servo control, so that the tension arms are censored for servo control of the tape tension. So excellent tape handling. And when it's properly calibrated, which this one is, the tape tension is set for forward and reverse to 50 grams, which is nice and light and will help to preserve your tape heads, so give them long life. Finally, electromagnetic brakes. So you'll see that in the demo, that it actually slows down before engaging the mechanical brakes and coming to a final stop. The other thing I like so much about this deck is the real-time counter. So here you have a real-time counter. Right now we're at the 8-minute and 32-second position. And you have 2 memory positions. You have a 0, which you can set. Typically when you load the tape, you'd set the 0 position. And then you have a Q, and right now I have the Q in or around this point right now. And so you have the ability to do a search to 0 or a search to Q. And go ahead and hit the search to 0 right now. See, it'll go back to the 0 point and then stop. Finally, the sound quality of the TEAC X-1000R is really phenomenal, especially when all the calibrations have been done as they have with this unit. Okay, so we'll hit a few of the high points of the restoration. So the full tape head assembly, so which includes the capstans, the pinch rollers, the belt, all the mechanical parts. That's one of the typical problem areas of these decks. Just over close to 40 years of age on these. The grease has hardened up, and these pinch rolls have become slow, or actually in some cases just get stuck. And a typical service deck, what'll be done is replacement of the belt, and then really just kind of spraying, alcohol spray or maybe a WD-40, and kind of working these up. So then they'll sell it as service. Now this one, I completely removed that full assembly, disassembled it on the bench, cleaned it, lubricated it, reassembled it, and put it back in. So really set up for trouble-free performance for the next several decades. All the switches and potentiometers have been flush with deoxit, and typically do that 3 times as I did with this deck. So twice in one day, I'll hit it twice very thoroughly, and then about 24 hours later I'll hit it again before finishing up with that. All these switches were clean, so I also removed this panel and take the fascia off of the electronic switches so that all that can be cleaned. And clean just gives you a really nice feel and nice response from your switches. So over the years, all the dust or grime that's accumulated, all that's cleaned out. Obviously all these parts, you can tell from the level of the work done that also all those parts have been removed, cleaned. Then once that's done and we complete the full, what I call the mechanical and cosmetic of the restoration of the deck, and get it all put back together, cleaned inside and out, and fully detailed, then we get into the set of adjustments, starting with the tape path. So first you start with the brake torque, then you get into tape tension. Just like to highlight this tool. This is a very interesting tool. This is for measuring tape tension. This happened to be a new old stock one that I picked up off of eBay a few years ago. And then you need to calibrate it for the type of tape that you're using. So in this case, the 1/4 inch reel-to-reel tape in the 1 mil. And then you use that to set your tape tension. So the tape tensions have been set, as I mentioned earlier, forward and reverse play, as well as fast forward and reverse high speed. Then you get into your fast forward and your fast rewind speed itself. That's set by monitoring a waveform on the oscilloscope and making an adjustment to bring it to the correct speed. Then you get into a reel table height, any tape path alignments, the height of your tension arms. Check very carefully use a clear leader tape. Check very carefully all the alignments of the tape heads. This one did not require any adjustment, and it's a good thing that it's been operating at correct adjustment since new. Let's see, tape speed. Then you get into some of your other specialized tools. Requires 2 calibration tapes in order to do a deck. One of them is for speed and wound flutter. The next one is for frequency response on playback. We'll get to that one in a moment. But you set the speed using the tape, and then you check your wow and flutter. And the wow and flutter essentially tells you the overall mechanical condition of the deck, as well as how well you did with all the adjustments and calibrations for the tape path. And this one performs spectacularly, really. It's 0.031% wow and flutter forward, 0.032% in reverse, well within the spec of 0.05%. So excellent performance from this deck. Then you get into all your audio calibrations, starting with your line level. Again, you're using now a frequency generator and an oscilloscope. After you have your line level set, you get into your playback frequency response, and again use a magnetic reference tape. Really, you have to have a known standard to get your frequency response correct across the full audio spectrum. It's not something that can be done by ear. Next, once that's done, you get into your record calibration, and that's setting your bias and your level for your record. And then at that point, you're actually pretty close to done, but not quite done. Just to note at this point that all these calibrations need to be done, because it's a forward and auto reverse deck. They need to be done in forward and reverse. They need to be done high speed and low speed. So you've already got 4 calibrations. Then when you get into record, you do need to also trim up the E bias. So for E tape, I do all the calibrations at the LH2 position using modern tape, ATR Magnetics MDS36, and just for anyone who retains E tapes, I do trim up the bias for that as well. But I do all the main frequency response at that numbers that I'm quoting are at high speed in the LH2 position. High speed forward and reverse, so the overall frequency response. And for this deck, it's truly phenomenal. So plus 1.1 minus 1.1 dB. That's well within the spec of plus minus 3 dB. And also note, I also set the encoder and decoder levels for the dBx. So if you have, you feel confident using that, or playing back tapes that you have pre-recorded using that. Okay, so let's go ahead and get into a demo. Now, I'll press, you have forward and reverse play. Press forward play. And just a note, the goal here is not to demonstrate the audio performance. I'm not really set up for that as you're listening through my camera microphone. But needless to say that the deck just sounds phenomenal, and I've just really enjoyed having it in the system for the last few weeks. Now let's do search to cue. When you do search to cue or search to zero, you can then press play, and when it reaches the point, it will then play. Now notice the electromagnetic breaks as we approach the cue point. Slows down. So really, really nice smooth tape handling. And very quiet deck at fast speed, and it's very fast. Okay, you can do search to zero, and let's do search to zero and play again. Well, what I'll do while that's going back is I'm going to cue something up to do just a little record demo. We'll record a few seconds. Now this is the audio. I'm not using dBx, so the noise floor is really low even without dBx, and it'll drop to almost basically inaudible if you do use dBx. At a sacrifice of a little bit of your frequency response, but still sounds awesome. So again, let's search to zero again and set us up for recording. So when you record, first thing you want to do is put it into record mode, and you'll see the record button will flash red. Then in order to arm the deck, you press record and pause at the same time, and then make sure that this is solid red. This means it's essentially armed and ready to record. I preset the levels and everything. I have something queued up. So let's go ahead and now press play, and I'll get our music going. So now we're listening to the recording that's being made live, and we're listening through the playback head. So this is actually what's been recorded on the tape. If I press this button, and now I go to the source position. Now this is the source. So this is the source just playing directly to the deck versus the tape that's been recorded. So excellent quality of the recording with this deck. So we can search to zero and play that now. I can take the record mode off. Alright, let's do another thing. So let's demonstrate the auto reverse. So I'm going to set it to full loop on auto reverse. So essentially it will do forward to reverse at the end of the tape, and it uses apply a little foil sensor at the end of the tape to do that. To go from reverse to forward, it uses the zero position on the meter. So that's what we'll be doing now, since we're close to the beginning of the tape. We'll go reverse, and then you watch the deck go back to forward play. Let's see if we hit a couple other points. It does have pitch control, as well as, you can play forward and reverse, or forward, reverse, and keep going. High speed, low speed. I typically use high speed. On a large reel of tape like this, you get forward and both sides, you get about 96 minutes per side, so over 3 hours of music. At low speed, you'd get 6 hours, which for me is just too much keep track of everything that's on the tape. You know, so you're going to get your best audio response at the high speed, although the low speed still is quite excellent. With that, let's go ahead and do reverse play and watch the deck do the. Now it's changing speed. So we're just at the end of the song there, and because I had it for infinite play, it switches to forward. Okay, so I think that's about it. I appreciate the time you spent, and I really enjoyed demoing this deck as well as doing the restoration, and enjoying recording and playing on this deck the last several weeks. It's a wonderful machine, and have a great day. Thank you very much. Bye.